program. My name is Janet. I work for a company called Wi3DP, but during my pastime, I volunteer for Women in 3D Printing Next Generation to help bring programs that can help bridge academia, students like you, into the industry with wonderful mentors that we have today. So we thank all of you for participating. Without you, this program would not be successful. So I will now like to introduce who is our Women in 3D Printing Next Gen Mentorship leader to take it away. Thanks, Mira.
Thank you, Janet. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Mira Ravi. I'm one of the volunteers with the Women in 3D Printing community and also an executive at Vioma Manufacturing Company located in India. For the past several months, a few of us have been hard at work to bring additive manufacturing experts and students together through the Women in 3D Printing Next Gen Mentorship Program. Special thanks to all the mentors and mentees who are here with us today. We couldn't do this without you. I'd now like to introduce you to my fellow hosts, Rashmi and Marina, and let them introduce themselves and get us started.
Thank you, Mira. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to everyone. My name is Rashmi Wadlakunda. I'll be one of your hosts for today's presentation along with Marina.
Hello, I'm Marina D'Olivo, and I will be a co-host, and I'm excited to meet all of you today.
Yep. So with that, I'm just gonna share my screen. Can you see the slides, Marina?
Yep.
Okay. So let's get right to the agenda for today's presentation. First, we'll review a few guidelines and expectations of the mentorship program, such as meeting cadence and other rules. We'll introduce you to your community managers who are going to help you through the duration of this program, so you can reach out to them if you have any questions. Next, we'll share the resources that our team has put together, and we'll kind of look at what can you do going into this program to maximize the benefit of being a part of the program and just get more out of the program. Finally, this session is an opportunity for all the mentors and mentees to gather in this virtual space and get to know each other, talk to the other mentors and mentees, and see why they are participating in this program. And the presentation will be followed by a networking session again, similar to what we did before. And a few announcements before we dive into the slides. You will see a Q&A section to the right of your screen. You may use this section to post any questions you have. And there's also an option to upvote the questions. So if you had a question on your mind and somebody already posted it, you can upvote it so that we know what kind of questions you're having and how we can help you better. And then we're going to try and answer the questions as we step through the slides. If there are any questions remaining, we're going to address them towards the end of the presentation. And if we don't have enough time to address all the questions, we will make sure to address them in our newsletter, the Women in 3D Printing newsletter. Just want to take a second to say this presentation is being recorded, and we'll share the recording and all the resources with you after the presentation. So let us look at the program timeline here. The first and most important step, which is not on the slide here, but let's call it step 0. But every one of you has already completed successfully is applying for this program. So kudos to all of you. You're here today. The next step that we see on the right here is to get connected to your mentors and mentees. We finished this step last week when all the community managers reached out to you via email and introduced you to your respective mentor or mentee. After that, a point on that, if one of you has marked that you want to be a part of the Q2 cohort, but you did not get this email, please let us know. The next step is to set up a minimum of 3 meetings with your mentor or mentee over the next 3 months for at least 45 minutes each. You may choose to have a few more touch points if both the mentor and mentee are comfortable with it, but not less than 3, please. If you have already reached out to your mentor or mentee, that's great. Be sure to kind of take the guidelines and expectations from this slide deck and modify your meetings if required. The third step is to set goals. So it's great if you can have an agenda, and again, you can use the resources that we shared today. It's great if the mentees can prepare an agenda ahead of time and say, this is what I want to get out of this program. And then if you go into your meetings with that, there is a better chance of making the best use of your time rather than using up the first meeting with your mentor to sit down and do the agenda working with them. So yeah, be prepared. And the last step is, we invite you all to the closing session. This will be in June, towards the end of June. We invite you all to come and share your experience of the program, what you gained out of it, and even suggestions on what you felt was lacking or what can we improve for the next upcoming cohorts. At this point, I would like to invite you all to come and volunteer with Women in 3D Printing or for the mentorship program. For me personally, it has been a very rewarding experience, and I learned a lot and met a lot of amazing people by being a part of this program. So yeah, if you're interested in being a part of the next mentorship program as a volunteer, let us know. Next, I'll hand it off to Marina to talk about the timeline.
All right, so you guys applied, we matched you guys. This is the kickoff event. We had 2, one yesterday, one today. So, and you'll need to attend one. So if you're here, presumably you were not here yesterday. And about halfway through, we're going to have all the community managers are going to have a check-in with you via email. And then we're also going to have another virtual panel, kind of an event like this, so you guys can kind of talk to more mentors and get a little bit more out of the program. And then in June, we'll have another closing event, as well as a survey, just to see what worked, what didn't work, and what we could improve for the next cohort. And then in July, we start kind of the next round of the program. And again, during this kind of time, we really want to emphasize to meet at least 3 times because we really want to make sure that you guys get the most that you can out of this program. And obviously, you're free to meet more than 3 times. We just ask 3 times minimum. Next slide. So these are all of our lovely community managers. These are some of the people who have been working behind the scenes on this program for the last few months. We have Mira, Mary, Rashmi, myself, Janet, and Julie. And we will be your main points of contact throughout the duration of the program. Feel free to reach out to us anytime with any questions or anything. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. Really, we're kind of here to be support for you. So just let us know if you need anything.
Thanks, Marina. With that, we are on one of my favorite slides, which we are calling the story time. So if I could request all the speakers to turn on their cameras and mics. Janet? I'm sure Janet is busy taking care of some logistics. Oh, there she is. So I was saying this is one of my favorite slides in the entire presentation, which we're calling story time. And the theme of this slide is what would you tell your younger self? What suggestion would you give to your younger self? So I'm just gonna ask a few questions to our amazing panel here, and we'll see what they have to say and how they are here with it today. The first one is for Marina. Marina, you work at one of the coolest companies to exist, and you have one of the coolest jobs. Please tell us, have you always wanted to be an additive manufacturing engineer, and how did you prepare yourself for this career?
Sure. So the short answer is no, I didn't always know. I didn't even know what additive manufacturing was when I was in school. And really the biggest thing I wish I knew is that it is okay to change your mind. And I did that a lot. So I started out as an electrical engineering student, and about a year in, I wasn't really liking it, but I felt like I kind of had to, that's the major I picked, and I kind of had to go with it. And some people like me have no idea what they want to do, and other people know immediately. And so, for example, my dad at age 9 built his first AM radio, loved antennas, got a PhD in antenna engineering. So someone like him couldn't really understand how you could not know what you wanted to do. And so I stuck it out in EE for another year, and kind of 2 years in, it really wasn't working out. And, I thought like something had to give. So I ended up switching majors and switching schools, and entered a manufacturing engineering program. And there I was actually focused on subtractive manufacturing. I was a teaching assistant for the machining class, so lathes, mills, just nothing to do with additive. But I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do kind of long term. So I ended up starting a mechanical engineering master's program. And throughout all of my schooling, I had a variety of different internships, ranging from PCB design to designing packaging and dispensing mechanisms for skincare and beauty industry, manufacturing internship at a company that made very large wiring harnesses, as well as a fixture design internship at Motorola. And I still it was really good experience. I learned I hated sitting at a desk for 8 hours. I like to be hands-on. I like to be in a lab environment, but I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. And ended up getting a full-time job as a manufacturing process engineer for a fiber optics company. So setting up new lines and doing production floor optimization, things like that. Here I was actually the first time I used a 3D printer. We had a really small FDM printer, and I just used it to help me with fixture design, and I thought it was pretty cool. And I did that for about 2 years, and again, I was starting to feel really kind of pigeonholed. It wasn't really what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I felt a little bit doomed to travel to factories in Mexico and China for the rest of my life, and I wasn't really that wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my career. So then I had an opportunity to actually move from Illinois to California for my husband's job. So I took a little bit of time off to really try to think and figure out what do I want to do with my life? And during this time, I took a Coursera class about 3D printing, actually. And it's a pretty simple class, pretty basic. But at the time, it really inspired me and really showed me the really cool things you could do with 3D printing. So I decided to see if there's any jobs available. And there were a handful, and I applied and ended up actually getting hired at an additive lab at a large contract manufacturer. And they actually told me that out of all the candidates, I had the least amount of additive experience, but they liked the variety of experience that I had and all of the transferable skills that I could apply to this new job. So kind of, even though you might not do what you're always doing, your skills will transfer, and it's not a waste. Like, things you learn, knowledge is not a waste. And so all of my kind of additive skills, for the most part, I learned hands-on in this new job, and I was there for about 2 years, after which point I moved to my current company, where I've been for about 2.5 years. I love it. I love additive. Additive is my thing, and I'm really kind of looking forward to making it my career. And it was kind of a very convoluted journey to get here, but I couldn't be happier.
That's so great to hear. Your honesty and vulnerability in sharing that you were not sure of what you wanted to do, and it kind of took you some tries to try different things and figure out what you're passionate about. I think a lot of mentees here love hearing about that. I do. So thanks, Marina. The next question is for Julie. Julie, you work at NASA. I mean, how awesome is that? And I'm sure you must have been at the top of your game to have been offered this position even. Tell us, is there a learning curve for someone who, already knows what there is to know about their job, and were there any skills that you had to pick up along the way? And then a follow-up for that question is, are all the skills that you need directly related to your job, are all of them like technical or hard skills?
So there's always a learning curve. Any new job, there's going to be a learning curve. Even coming from a job where I was doing something very similar to what I'm doing now, there's still a learning curve, how to do things in a new company, new processes, things like that. But kind of jumping off of something Marina said, what I wish I'd known earlier in my career is how many skills will transfer, and to not undersell the value of those transferable skills, especially when it comes to kind of the second part of your question of those soft skills. Because a lot of my job is, pitching an idea, getting buy-in from the rest of the team, talking to colleagues, talking to vendors, managing all of those things, more so than it is actually, sitting down in front of the machine all day and printing. And so there's a lot of soft skills, and those very much do transfer between different jobs. And I wish I'd known that earlier, and especially I wish I'd known that something else Marina said, that learning something isn't a waste. You never know when something's going to come back around. You never know what's going to transfer later in your career. Both of my degrees are in chemical engineering, so somewhat of a materials focus, but very different job, very different field. But I was in a catalysis lab. I kind of decided I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I then found 3D printing, and this is where I really found my passion. But, just a couple of weeks ago, I pitched a program that was additive manufacturing for catalysis. So stuff always comes back around. It's never a waste to learn something new. It's never a waste to know something from your past and have that diverse background that you then can bring to the job, even if it's not a one-to-one transfer.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely agree with what you said there. Also, if you want to learn a new skill, how do you pitch that to your manager or to your team?
So the way I normally go about it is to try to find where the holes are in your organization and show where a new training could bring benefit to the team. Because what you have to remember is that, one, we as women normally don't want to ask. We don't want to be the difficult one. We just want to figure it out on our own. But your manager isn't looking at your career from the same lens that you are. They're just like, okay, did they get their deliverables done? That's all I care about. And that's not to say that they don't care about you. They don't care about your growth, but they just don't have the time to look at it in that minute of detail. So looking at it more through that lens of what can I bring to the team? What training would really help me perform at my job better? And go to them with that, because they want the team to succeed too. They just, the worst they can say is no. The worst they can say is we don't have the budget this year, try again next year. But I think when you go through it with that approach of just how can this new skill benefit the team, how can I make my job quicker, easier, less cost, more cost effective, is normally a good way to pitch new training.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm starting to build in myself slowly. It's okay to ask for things that you don't know or training that you require. So thanks, Julie. The next one is for Janet. I just feel like the additive manufacturing industry is like a close-knit family almost, where everyone knows everyone. Well, almost. And then there's Janet, who knows all of these people and all of the companies. And you're personally my encyclopedia. Like, if I need to talk to someone, if I need to learn about someone, I go to Janet and I'm like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about this person? And then she has so much knowledge, not just about, okay, this person's name is this, they work at a company, but she has this personal interest in them to get to know them as a person and find out what their dreams are, what they like and what they like working on. So it's really awesome, Janet. So my question for you is, where did you pick up this I should say skill, was it something you learned in your background, your education, marketing, or how did all this happen?
So as, as mentioned yesterday, believe it or not, when I was in high school, I was the shyest kid in the room, probably because I had glasses, I had braces, and a bob cut. So in terms of my personal level of self-esteem, it's pretty low, especially being Asian. And so then what was interesting was I always wanted to feel like I wanted to fit in. And so with that, I always tried to figure out, okay, what can I do to make someone like me to want to talk to me? I was so shy. I could only talk for like one sentence. And when people were asking me a story, I was trying to think, what's the fastest way I can say this thing so I can stop talking and no spotlight on me? And I realized this is not going to work. So what's really great, you know, in the education system is every couple of years you can refresh. So when I was in high school, I was really looking forward to college and university because I realized, okay, I have this vision of who I wanted to be, but the current version of me and my current landscape, it was very hard because of all this baggage. And so when I jumped into university, I was like, okay, I'm going to be the new me. So I experimented with my personality and realized I love being helpful. I want to be resourceful, and I want to understand what people are looking for to do and seeing how we can, you know, connect the dots. And so I started doing that. But like in university, I was also still shy. It's a journey, right? And I realized for the first year and a half, I was like heads down, just studying, trying to get my grades high enough. And then I realized I haven't really gone that far. I don't really know anyone. And then you need to start looking for a job. And 2 years into university, I saw there's so many people looking like they're having a ton of fun. And it seems like it's because they're joining these student associations. And from these student associations, I was thinking, okay, maybe I should interview for one of them. So I got in. I was part of the supply chain group because I have a supply chain background. And it was like the most boring group in the business community because no one understood what it was. It's not like accounting, it's not like marketing. And so we were trying to figure out, how do you make supply chain exciting and awesome? It's in our everyday lives. And so then through that, I experienced how to connect with students to teach them about supply chain, how to connect with people working in the field and bring them in for career advice. And putting myself out there, it was very uncomfortable, but it was super rewarding. And through this experience, I learned that people are willing to help, especially when you're talking about supporting the next generation. So when I finally joined Link3D, I should have learned this again, but history repeats itself. I was, again, heads down, working on how do you make this startup work. I go to the conferences, and I would just go back straight to the hotel room because that was the culture of my team. But then one day I realized, oh, maybe we should go out and meet people. So I went out to, typically when you go to conferences, so just quick tip here, there's always people going to the hotel lounge, maybe to a karaoke bar nearby. So when you're 21 plus, you should consider going. And people there love to share ideas. And like you mentioned, Rashmi, the 3D printing industry is like a family. So everyone currently knows each other if you put your head out there. But what is awesome about it, it's because people in 3D printing are still, I wouldn't want to call ourselves like the underdog, but we are in an emerging technology where we're trying to find a reason of being, raison d'être, to be here so that we can become a great solution to support our economy, right? And so there's a couple things that still need to be done and figured out for us to get to that serialization printing, to get that perfect finish for a consumer brand. To get to manufacturing repeatability, ensure cybersecurity and capabilities are available. And so there's a lot of collaboration needed across the industry, and we all recognize that. And that's why we're here today. And so if you just go on LinkedIn, reach out to people, put a nice note in, tell your reason as to why you are interested in connecting and want to learn from their story, most likely people will say yes and are happy to share a little bit about their time. And you don't have to wait until you're a professional. You can actually start today. You can even consider joining and volunteering at Women in 3D Printing, which gives you a great platform to connect with different audience members as well. And if it weren't for women in 3D printing, I probably would have never met these lovely ladies from NASA, Google X, Train, and Maker Girl who are trying to be there and make an impact. Thanks, Rashmi.
That was a lot and so many great points to take away from your spiel. And just want to say to everyone, thanks to Janet for pulling me into Women in 3D Printing volunteering. Like, I've been with the group for more than 3 years now, but I never dived headfirst into the volunteering aspect of it. And then she kind of pulled me in, and I've just been having such a fun time getting to know these lovely ladies, learning so much, connecting with new people. So yeah, I would definitely recommend joining the group as a volunteer, whatever you can do, right? So building off of what Janet said, my next question is for Mary. Mary, you have such a unique path that you really carved out for yourself. And I'm going to ask you a very basic question. It may even sound silly, but why should anyone be a mentee? Like, what is there to learn from being in a mentorship program that you can't learn from, say, books or YouTube videos? So why do you need to connect with people?
Yeah, I think being a mentee has been like the reason I've been able to be successful, or being able to kind of be able to bounce as many ideas off of my mentors as I can. I would say, especially for like the theme of what would I say to my younger self, it would be to be as authentic as possible with your mentor. Because you don't need to act like perfect or try to impress them in any way. You should really use this time to ask them as many questions, or try to see if there's a similar experience that they've gone through that you really want to get to see like what their story was, how that could kind of line up with yourself. And I think just mentors are such a great sounding board for any ideas, or helping you connect to the people that will really make an impact. And then being a mentee really just helps you grow and build really strong connections that will be most beneficial kind of moving forward. I know for me, especially when I was trying to decide whether I would do Maker Girl full time, or I have a background in chemistry, so I was deciding whether I would go work at a couple different companies, kind of working in a lab, or bringing Maker Girl kind of full time. I bounced as many ideas off of my mentors, and it was such a rewarding experience to know that not only when I made that decision, that they were also going to support me along that journey and continue those questions that I had. So I really just think that being a mentee, especially in a mentorship program, and being able to learn from not only them, but possibly others in the program as well, is definitely most beneficial.
Well said. For those of you who don't know, Mary is the CEO of an amazing startup called Maker Girl. You should definitely go and check it out. They're doing some amazing things out there. So just a point from me about what I think I should have learned when I was younger, is, so when I graduated with a master's in mechanical engineering, I was doing a lot of research in college, and I was like, wow, this technology is so cool. It's gonna change the world. It's gonna, change the way we think about manufacturing. And I come out, I join the industry, and I'm like, yes, technology is still king. It's going to change the world. But first day of coming to the job, and I'm like, technology is nothing till people accept it. So people's acceptance and actually using the technology is more important than the technology itself in most of the cases. And technology is just a tool, right? It helps us achieve what we want to do. It helps makes people's lives easier. And it's just a tool, and it's as powerful as you can make it. And more the number of people that use it, the better it is. Just like Janet said, we're all working together to make the additive industry come to this stable point and grow even more. So yeah, that's just something that I wish I'd learned when I was younger. Acceptance of technology is equally, if not more important than the technology. With that, thank you all, wonderful ladies, for sharing your stories and being honest and vulnerable with us all. We're gonna go back to the slide deck and look at a few more slides that we have for you. Marina, please.
Great. So we're going to go through some kind of more resources and just some tips for you guys. So first, I'd like to talk about goal setting. And so because this is a kind of short program, we'd like you guys to focus in and make 2 goals, just so that it's kind of attainable. And we'd like you to consider to set 1 hard skill goal and 1 soft skill goal. And we have some other slides kind of explaining the difference between the 2. And the process I would like you guys to take, the mentees to take, is to really try to figure out 2 areas that you really want to focus on, and set a goal related to that area, as well as define how you're going to measure progress that you're making in this goal. And try to do this before your first meeting with your mentor, just so that you have some ideas. So for example, if the area you want to focus on is networking, which is a soft skill, the goal that you could set is that you want to meet 3 new people in industry through your mentor. You would define measurement of progress by the number of people that you meet. And at the end, you could look back and see how successful you were at that goal. And just, run through this. You can run through this little exercise with any focus area and goal. And we're going to have a bunch of ideas for you guys, but try to make at least 2 just to kind of make your time worthwhile. Next slide. So more on kind of the goals and things to do beforehand. So again, because we're only asking you to meet 3 times with your mentor, we want that time to be very valuable and kind of useful. So don't kind of waste that time on logistics. So try to figure out these logistics beforehand via email. How are you guys going to meet? We recommend meeting virtually through a platform with video chat, just because it feels a lot more personable to see somebody face to face. How are you going to stay in touch? How are you going to respect each other's confidentiality? Which dates and times work for you? How are the time zones working out? Just try to get that sorted out beforehand. And then for the mentees, here's some more ideas for, goals that you could define. And, try to make your list, but also be open to suggestions from your mentor as they get to know you. And we will be sending out the slide deck. So you can read through this kind of list in detail when we do that. So next slide. And so here's, again, kind of a suggestion of soft skills that you could choose to improve. And really, soft skills are just as important, if not more important, than technical skills. You could be the best engineer, but if you can't communicate your ideas, you're not really going to go far. And so all of these are very transferable skills. It doesn't matter what job you have: communication, organization, critical thinking, like networking. Those are all super important, regardless of what job you have or what you're doing. So we have a bunch of bullet points here, just little questions to spark ideas for you guys. So try, for one of your goals, pick one of these soft skills, figure out what it is, which one of these is really something that you could benefit from improving on. Next slide.
Yeah, so kind of picking off and pivoting from the soft skills to hard skills. If you look at the additive manufacturing industry, the 3 tracks that are mentioned here are kind of the diverse tracks in the industry. The first one is applications engineering, second one is research and development, and a third one is business strategy. One point I'd like to make here is sometimes you may have to use skills from all 3 buckets or more than 1 bucket to actually achieve your goal or implement a solution. Taking my example, I work as an additive manufacturing application engineer. So my journey would sort of be like taking from the business strategy, going and building a relationship with an internal stakeholder, and then helping them understand the benefits of this technology to get their buy-in. And then the second, that would be the first step. And after I get their buy-in, the next step is, say, using my knowledge from college, where I was doing a lot of research, to choose the right material, choose the right technology, choose the right vendor for the opportunity at hand, and kind of say, this makes the most sense economically or feasibility-wise, gives the properties that we need. And then the third step may be something like using design for additive manufacturing from the applications track here, and modify the design of the existing part to improve its printability or make even more profit or save even more money out of that conversion. So it's an amalgamation of the skills from all three tracks, and you may have to pick up all three along the way. But this is something that you should definitely talk with your mentor and figure out what are the industry positions out there and what kind of skills do they require. And as Marina said, we'll be sharing this with you so you can kind of step through all of these points. And if something is not immediately understandable, you can always reach out to us and ask us to explain more. The next one is the resource kit. If you want to learn about 3D printing or get yourself involved more in this industry, there are a number of resources. On the left, we have the job boards. I am just going to point out the first one here, Women in 3D Printing Job Board. The Women in 3D Printing website actually has a internship and job part of it, where all the companies, all the partners of Women in 3D Printing are posting about their roles, both in additive manufacturing and related industries. So if you're interested in an internship or job, you can always go and check out the job board. And there are a few more here. The next one is 3D printing newsletters. I think over the past few months, we've seen so much exciting activity in the additive industry with a lot of mergers and acquisitions, a lot of companies going public, new materials and new printers being announced by companies. So it's all a very exciting time, but it can be a little overwhelming if you want to get all your news from different sources. So I feel like newsletters are a great way to stay updated on the latest and greatest in the industry. What are the things that are coming up? There'll be profiles about additive industry folks sometimes. You can subscribe for the Women in 3D Printing newsletter. It's great. It's a great read. And then there are many others here. You can go ahead and check them out. The next one is 3D printing events. Last year has been a little dry because we were not able to meet anyone in person, but I think all the event managers did an amazing job pivoting and bringing it all to the virtual world. So there are a number of different 3D printing events. You can go to these pages and check out what's upcoming. A few of them are free, a few of them may be paid. For students, a lot of them have reduced fees, so I think you should definitely take advantage of this. Coming to the right here about 3D printing skills, all of these resources show you how to go get the required hard skills, the necessary hard skills for the industry. So maybe you have a design, an idea in mind that you want to make a model of or print. So you would start with a basic CAD modeling software, and the software here and many more are available. And for students, a number of these are free, so you may want to use the education email ID to sign up for them. Then there's topology optimization, which is basically designing parts for additive manufacturing. There are other resources like Matter Hackers, 3D Hubs. I personally go to Matter Hackers for material and printer knowledge. They do a good job of compiling all the knowledge out there, and they have very good articles. There are courses on Coursera. Marina had mentioned earlier how a Coursera additive manufacturing course had inspired her to go out there and apply for a job in the additive industry. So maybe it'll spark that in you too. Then there are some paid courses, one from our own Maker Girl. There are books and marketing resources too. So coming back full circle, I think this is where you all started. This was something you may have seen before you applied for this program. You know, what are the benefits of being a mentor, or what are the benefits of being a mentee? Again, we expect you to meet a minimum of 3 times over the next 3 months and make use of this time. If you like what you've seen so far, or if you go through the 3 months and you feel like this program has helped you in any way, then please go ahead and encourage your friends to apply to be a mentee, or go to your colleagues and tell them what a great mentorship opportunity this is and how they can give back to the next gen. The cohort dates for the next cohort are here under the slide. So then the Q2 cohort ends in June and the next one starts in July. So the deadline to apply for the next cohort is June 30th. And you'll be seeing these dates again in the newsletter, so keep an eye out for that. Again, I would like to invite you all, if you're interested to be a volunteer for Women in 3D Printing Next Gen or Women in 3D Printing. It's a very fun group. You'll learn a lot and you'll meet a lot of wonderful people. So with that, I'm going to go back and see if we have any Q&A. Audrey asked if we'll send these slides out. Yes, we'll be sharing the recording of this presentation along with all the resources that we gathered. So you'll have all that with you. That's the presentation part of it. Marina, any words before we go on to the networking part?
No, just thank you all for being here, and yeah, enjoy the networking and start to get to know some people early.
Janet, could you come on for a bit and explain how Remo works, please?
It will be a pleasure. Thank you so much, ladies, for walking us through the orientation today. And thank you, everyone, for joining. We're really excited to have you. So as you probably all saw, when you first arrive onto the platform, there are different tables of 8. You can hop from table to table by double-clicking each table. Turn on your camera and mic. Feel free to introduce yourself, share what you love about 3D printing, what you're hoping to learn out of the mentorship program as a mentee and as a mentor. And we hope you guys are able to connect. If you have to leave, no worries. We'll see you at the next orientation or end of kickoff call. So thank you very much, everybody. Looking forward to having you join us. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your community manager.